Hello everyone, I'm Caroline and today is another Christmas in July video. Now if you happen to be watching this in December, then it's no problem because Christmas is Christmas any time of year. I'm so looking forward to making these 20 Christmas decorations for you. I'm all ready, I'm set. Are you ready? Okay, no time for chatting. Let's get on with crafting. For this first Christmas in July craft, I thought I would make something quite simple, quite easy. Let's just get us warmed up before we get really stuck in. And for this, I picked these up in the charity shop. There were 3 or 4 of these for 10p. And they're little frames. They come with a little hanger. Now, you can use one of those little embroidery hoops if you want to. Or you can use a mason jar ring, anything like that. So first thing to do is to cover this hoop. So I've never seen these before. So you put the burlap, which I'm using. You can use fabric, but I'm going to use burlap, over the white ring, and then you just push the top ring on and you're done. That's quite easy, isn't it? Now trim around the back, and that's the first part of this craft all done ready. Make sure it's nice and neatly snipped off. The only thing with burlap is very messy. These little bits shooting everywhere. Very dusty. So now, I've got to get my little hook thing, and there's somewhere along here is a hole. There it is. Pop it in the hole, screw it up, and look at that. Isn't that beautiful for a country style? But I want to add some embellishments, and I've got this here. As you can see, I've used this on something else. And then I tend to dismantle my crafts when I get bored of them, and then I can make something else. So I'm going to trim down. If you do this, try to get as much of the hot glue off as you can, because otherwise it'll stick out a bit too far. On with some more hot glue. On with my embellishment there. And now I thought, I like the simplicity of that, but I think it needs a bow. You know me, any excuse for a bow. So I'm going to make my usual favourite 2-loop bow. Make 2 loops, tie them in a knot, wiggle them round, let them do their own thing so they sit where they're comfortable. Bring it to the right size and then chop off the ends. I like to cut them at a bit of a jaunty angle. Can't beat a bit of a jaunty angle. Now the bow can either go directly under there, or you can put it on the middle. Now I prefer it coming from underneath the berries. Make sure I've got it fairly central. Pop some glue under there rather than on the bow, just seems easier. Pop that into place. And there you go. Christmas tree decoration number 1. Wasn't that quick and easy? And a lot of fun. So gorgeous. And we've got another 19 to go. Let's see how we get on. Next craft coming up. For this next craft, I got a few bits and pieces. I've made a cardboard template of a triangle. That way I know that's the top. I put an arrow there. And then I can use this to cut out thinner cardboard templates or thinner cardboard pieces, as many as I want to, and they'll always be this size. I like to keep a selection of templates on the go. You can buy templates, I think, but I tend to make my own. And that way then when I lose them, I just cut out another one. So, to make a start, I'm going to cover this with some fabric. And I thought I'd go for this stripy fabric. I think this is real fun. It's off an old shirt. You can see it was like a seersucker shirt. I just dismantled it. I thought, I can use that for something else. So, cut it bigger than I need it. Cut across there. Now I use glue stick. I find it works very well for gluing fabric to cardboard. As long as you put enough on. So a nice bit of glue on there. Pop on the fabric. Make sure you give it a good press all the way around. And then I'm just going to trim it. What's that? About half an inch, probably a bit more than half an inch. It's not very straight, is it? Oh, there we go. That's near enough. Fortunately, there's still a little bit of move in this glue stick for a while yet. So now I'm going to chop my corners off. 1, 2, just above the corner. You can take as much time over this as you like. I'm not going to take an awful lot of time because, as you know, I have 20 crafts to make. Right, and I shouldn't really have gone all over that, but never mind. You won't tell anyone I got that wrong, will you? You're far too nice. And then put a little bit of glue, oops, not that much glue, on the fabric there to make sure it sticks. I've got blobs of glue everywhere now, look at that. And then just trim off any bits that are sticking out, that we don't want sticking out, like that. Now I get some yarn. I've got this lovely chunky yarn. Pick this. I think this was a thrift store. I can never remember if it was thrift store or car boot sale that I found things. And I'm just going to wind myself a couple of pieces around. I'm going to use this book just so they're all the same size, and it makes it easier than just, I find easier than wrapping around my fingers, and I can see exactly how much I've got then as well. So if I keep doing that, you may have your own method of doing this, which could be much easier or much more difficult. And yours probably doesn't wind your fabric up in the ball of yarn. Chop it off. And then, if you've done it a bit tight, don't worry, just bend your book. Out it comes. And then I'm going to turn over my triangle. Now, in the ideal world, I'd love this to all stick like that, but I think I'd have to put so much glue on it to get to do that. So I'm not going to. I'm going to be sensible. I'm going to come across with a run of hot glue. And then I'm going to start working from the one side. Put a finger protector on. And put the top of each loop into the hot glue. Now, you've got to work pretty quick here, because otherwise your hot glue will cool. It's not the end of the world. Just pop a little bit more hot glue on. I think mine's going to cool. Yep, mine's already cooling. A bit more. Then work your way along, making sure you've bunched it up nice and thick. And if there are any gaps, just go over then and add in another layer on. Chop the end off. And I'm going to take, oh, I could use fabric or ribbon. I'll take a little bit of fabric. Just cut a thin strip off, like that. Make sure it's roughly the right length. There-ish. And then I'm going to put some hot glue along there, near the edge. And then use the fabric as an extra sort of grab to make sure that that wall is firmly attached. In you go. Look at that piece poking out the end. Come on, in you go. Like that, and then snip your ends off there. The corner will probably stick out. And there you've got a nice little beard. Now you can either leave it loopy, but I haven't fixed my loops properly, have I? So I'm going to come along and I'm going to give him a beard trim. Keep still, it won't hurt. Ow, it's not hurting, stop it. That does hurt. No, it doesn't. There we go. And then next thing we need to do is somewhere around here, there it is, I've got a pipe cleaner. I'm clean out of white pipe cleaners, so the only ones I've got are these bulgy ones. So I'm going to use a bulgy one. Chop it on the thin bit, and I'm going to come along with more hot glue all the way along the very edge. Pop on my bulgy pipe cleaner, which isn't the perfect item for the job, but it'll do. Then we need a nose. So I've got this little nose. It's a half bead. Pop some hot glue on the back. Then make sure it's roughly near the middle. Pop it right as high as I can possibly get it under the pipe cleaner. And then, it looks like a bit like a football on there, doesn't it? With all those stripes going on. It's like a football shirt and a football. Never mind, it'll be fine. And then turn it over. I'm going to use a piece of this yarn, just because I like it. Glue that into place on the back. Turn it over, and then to finish off, a pom-pom. Every gnome needs a pom-pom. He's a sort of Santorini gnome, but I'm now going to have to call him a footballing Santorini gnome because he just reminds me of a footballer. I don't know why. And if you want, you can fray this beard a little bit more. I'm not going to at the moment because I'm rushing, but I think when I've finished, I am going to separate out all these little ends. I won't do it on there because my hot glue is still a little bit warm. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give it a try. I shouldn't really pull it all off. But let's give it a try and see if it's dry enough to take a little bit of this. I'm having some problems with it because it's not quite cool enough, so I'm going to leave it at that and then trim it off in a nice roundy shape like that. And there you go. You can see the difference it makes. You do really, with a thick yarn like that. Well, you don't need to, but I think it looks better to just give it a bit of a brush out. Right, that's craft number 2. Let's get on with the next one. For this next Christmas craft, I've got this template of a tree. Now, you may decide that you want a bigger tree. This is quite small, but then again, I'm trying to cut down on the amount of sewing that I do. I don't need that on because I'm still got trouble with my thumbs. Now, my felt isn't in the best of condition. I bought a box full of the stuff for €1 when I was over in France. I washed it. It's really wrinkly. And also, there's bits of running, colours run into each other. There's a bit of fading where I left it in the sunshine. But I don't mind. It was cheap. So I got this fabric marking pen. It's brilliant because when you put a hot iron on it, it just disappears. But this will be inside anyway. Whoops. So I'm not too worried. So draw around your template. And the simpler you make your template, the easier this job's going to be. If you put like just points, it's a lot easier than trying to go around curves because the felt tends to stretch. So I'm going to cut another one, but turn this over that way. It just makes it a little bit more economical on the felt. So yes, these are very messy, but that's not a problem. Don't panic. Next thing I'm going to do is cut very roughly around them. I want to make sure I have at least 1/4 inch on the outside of the lines that I'm drawing, or that I have drawn. I've got so many things in my mind, I can't even think straight. You should see my studio. I've got 20 projects all bagged up with everything I need. I spent the whole morning doing that so that I can now sit down and just get on with the crafting. So I'm putting these two together. Really, you don't have to draw the second one, I don't suppose. You could just cut two blobs out, as long as one's got the marking on. And then I'm going to get myself some embroidery floss. I'm going for white. And I don't want to join it, so I'm getting quite a lot, which isn't necessarily the best thing because you can end up getting knots in it. But I'm going to go for it. See what happens. Each piece of embroidery floss is actually made up of 6 separate threads. Now, you can just use 1, 2, 3, but for this I'm using the whole 6 because it doesn't want to go through the needle, does it? I'm using the whole 6 because I really wanted to show. So when I get to the end, now if you don't like sewing, this really isn't much sewing, it's just we're going in and out. You can poke things in and out, so you'll be fine. Now we're going to leave a gap at the bottom, go from the inside and come through on the line there. And now we're just going to go in and out. Now you may decide you're going to do really neat stitches. I'm just going for this because I need to get it done. So my stitches are not going to be nice and even. And we're just going to do, this is called a running stitch. As you can see, everything curls up because I've left it a bit long. And I'm going to go right the way around the outside of this using this running stitch. Now, if you find it too difficult to do this in and out, whether it's hand issues or whether you're just not used to sewing and you're going to give it a go, but you're finding that difficult, then there's another easier way of doing it, and that is to push it down, pull it through, push it up, pull it through, push it down, pull it through, and see how easy that is. And you'll probably be able to do it a little neater that way as well. But as I said, I'm thinking of speed today, so it's going to be scruffy, speedy sewing, and I'll get back to you when I'm all the way around my Christmas tree. When you get to the bottom, just come across a little bit, and then I like to put a little bit of a fixing stitch. So make sure you go down and then come back up through where you came up last time and down again, and then you know you're not going to accidentally pull too hard and open up the rest of your stitches. Out with some, this is fibre fill, but I got this from a cushion in our charity shop. They were doing 2 cushions for 50p. They've gone up now. They've doubled the price. It's 1 cushion for 50p. And then just stuff your Christmas tree. Now, you're probably going to need something a little bit on the pointy side to get the stuffing into the point of the Christmas tree. And don't worry if they don't go all the way down anyway. It's just to give the basic look of a stuffed tree. Don't put too much in at once. It makes it much more difficult. If you've got particularly thin fingers, I suppose you can manage without, but I think I'd struggle. It's always, makes my nose itch. This is a fun thing you can do with children because it's a simple sewing stitch. And if you want to, you can do all the prep. You can sew as well. And then they can help you with the stuffing. And then they can help with adding embellishments later. I'm nearly done. I don't want it huge. I just want a little bit of stuffing in. Just to show some sort of 3D pattern on it. There we go. So now we just need to seal the bottom. Now don't worry, I know it looks a mess, but it'll get better. So now you just carry on, make sure those stuffing's pushed up inside and carry on along the bottom. Now this is a little fiddly. You definitely may take, well, you may take up the option to go along 1 stitch at a time along here because you're using your hands to hold this together, hold the stuffing inside as well. It takes a lot of practice to do a couple of stitches at a time along here. And then try, if you can, as you're coming along, jiggle your stitches about so that you're going to end with a sort of pattern like that, if you see what I mean. You're not going to bump into that stitch and have a huge long stitch. Go through to the back and just on the 1 layer, you can do a fixing stitch like that. And then nobody's going to swing on this, so go back in to the top of that stitch, poke it right through the filling up to the middle of the tree, and then gently pull it, snip it, and then the end, when you snip, goes back inside the tree. So now you need to do something with this. It's a mess, but that's not a problem because now you just turn it over the way that you will be seeing, and then cut about 1/4 inch away from the line of sewing you've done. This does need care. If you accidentally snip your stitching, it's all going to come undone. You can use normal material for this, but I would recommend that if you do this cutting, then you do a pinking shears and it still could fray. So if you've worked hard at this, if you use felt, you know it's not going to happen. All the way around. I quite like doing this. You do need to think about it, but it's just something I love, finishing the tree off or whatever the ornament it is you've made, whatever shape you've made. Look at that. Isn't that cute? I love it. You could do a whole forest of those. So now we need a hanger, and there just happens to be some embroidery floss in here. And now to make the hanger, I'm going to go over this stitch at the top. So over there, over there. So I've covered that stitch. It just looks like a bigger stitch, and it's going to be covered anyway because I want to put a star on it. And then cut it off, and you can tie a knot in the back there. I'll tie one in so you can see it. I mean, it's just tying a knot. It's nothing technical, but you could tie a knot if you want to, and then tie a knot in the top there. And now you're just down to putting some embellishments on. I've got a little bag that I filled with some pretty embellishments. Now, you know me and glue guns. If I'm using a glue gun, I tend to get glue everywhere. So try to be a bit more careful than I am, and hopefully you won't get glue everywhere. So first thing I've got is this gold button. Well, I don't know if it's a button. I think it came off a necklace or something. And I'm going to put a little dot of glue on the top there, and then pop that on there, and we got a star. And now I got all these little bits. These are definitely off some sort of necklace. I'm trying to decide which way they'll go best. They go better that way, but will they stay put? Now this is where the mess could happen. Little bit in there, and then pop it on. Oh, look at that. I didn't make a mess. I'm not going to get excited too soon because I know what I'm like. I will definitely have got hot glue everywhere by the time I finish. Just something about me and hot glue. We tend to make a lot of mess together. Okay, I'm going to try putting the hot glue on here. It could go well. It possibly won't. Actually, probably won't. No, I've spluttered it already. And this tends to dry white rather than clear. And there we got a really cute Christmas tree. It looks like a country Christmas tree. You could have it as a primitive style decoration. And you could make loads of these. You could make lots of different shades of green if you wanted to make a bit of a forest. It will take a while to get all the hot glue off. But I love that. Although there's a little bit of sewing involved, it's not too bad. And it makes a lovely item. So that's number 1, 2, 3. I'm counting the ones I've got. So let's get on with the next one. For this next Christmas decoration idea for your Christmas tree, I've got a bead with a face on. Now, you don't have to use a bead with a face on. You can get a bead and draw a face on, or you can leave this one blank. And I've got this piece of felt here, which is a little bit messily cut, isn't it? Cute. Neaten it up a little bit, like that. And now we're going to wrap this up in a blanket, because this is going to be baby Jesus. So we know we want him to be this. We can glue his head to the back of the piece of felt. Before the glue dries, make sure that felt is coming nicely around his head. So then you tuck it in, fold this over, fold it over again, and then bring this, fold it over again, and then we're going to need a little bit of glue under there to hold it all together. And I'm also going to squirt some glue up inside, like that. Trim the end off. So there we got a baby Jesus. I can put a little bit of glue under there as well, because it's not covering his neck. He'll get a chill. Don't want him getting a chill, do we? There. That's better. Now we need to turn him over the other way, and I got this rope or string. It is a rope. It's so thick. So I'm going to cut this about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch longer than baby Jesus' length himself. I'm going to cut at least 2 pieces of that, I think. 1, 2. Chop, chop, chop. And then I'm going to pull all the little plies apart. You can see each piece is made up of lots and lots of plies. Pull them apart. Now I'm going to glue these onto the back of baby Jesus. I know, bear with me. Well, before I do, I just want to put a hanger on. I forgot. That should be fine. Now I come along. I'm just going to do a little piece at a time and hope that I can put that one on there. Hope that I can get this done before the glue cools. So pop those along there, and then we'll need some either end where the hanger is. I'm doing about 3 at a time. Ow, 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 that's hot. And now everything's stuck to me. It's just going to slow me down, and all my glue's going to go cold. Oh no. Then on the back, quick, 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 before it goes cold, goes cold. Like that. And I think I'm going to get my 3 pieces ready before I put the glue on. How's that for sensible? Try to be sensible. It's overrated really though, isn't it? And a little blob there, little blob there. Doesn't matter if anything goes between the blobs. It just adds to the gripping power for all these. And the idea of this is it's supposed to look like straw. Because Jesus was using a manger as a bed, where the straw was for the animals to eat. So this is going to look, well, not terribly realistic, but it gives the idea of what was going on. Oh, I think we could do just a little bit down this side as well. A little bit more glue. Don't panic at the back being a bit of a mess, because it's not designed to be seen from behind. And now look at that. You've got Jesus in a manger decoration. So that's craft number 4 done. For craft number 5, I'm going to use some more of this felt that I got. It's got holes in it and everything, but I don't mind at all. Oh, when I got this, the smell of damp, I think it's been stored in somebody's shed. It really was bad. I had to wash it before I could even put it in the car to bring it home. But it worked. It's done a fine job. So I'm going to cover this stocking with some felt. Now, I'm never sure which way stockings look best. I feel they should be going that way because I think because we read from left to right, that feels better. So I'm going to cover the top of this stocking with the felt, and I'm going to use hot glue. I don't like using hot glue for gluing fabric to cardboard because it can be a little bit lumpy and bumpy, but felt is not easy to use with a glue stick, I find. So let's get that on quick before it cools. I'm going to cut out around this, but I'm not cutting close to the cardboard just yet because I'm still trying to decide what I fancy doing to finish this off. I can just cut it even with the edges, or I could fold it over, but I think that's just going to go clumpy and lumpy. Or I could stick another piece on top, in which case I've cut a little bit too tight. I think it's going to be fine like that. So I'm going to cut it in a little bit tighter. It's always the same with any craft. There are so many options. It's never the only way of doing it. So never think, I can't do it that way. See if we can find an alternative. Quite often I end up, my craft is not going the way I wanted it to do, and I have to think, right, okay, so we have to modify this, and so I do. And not always, but usually you get there. So there we go, one stocking. But it's a bit boring, isn't it? Need to do something with it. First thing we need to do is put a hanger on it. So I'm going to put a ribbon hanger on this one. Pop the hanger on the back. Pop the finger protector on your finger so you don't burn yourself. Push it down. Put a bit of felt on the top just to make sure it sticks. A little bit of extra stickability again. So now we just need, look, everything's sticking to me. We need to decorate this now. So for the top, I thought, well, no competition. I'm going to use the sort of thing I usually use, which is a piece of frilly lace. And along with a run of hot glue. On with my pretty lace. Turn it around and snip off the ends. Now I thought I liked the way socks look when they got like a heel and a toe on them, and I thought this would look really good. So I'm going to go around the heel and then along and pop this ribbon on like that. And while I'm letting that cool, I'm going to put some on the toe as well. So I measure where I want it to be, about there. And there, around there. And then pop it on. Now it doesn't look very good, but it still needs trimming. Don't panic. Cut it there and then trim it around to match. Make sure I don't cut my hanger. Now this is a gross grain ribbon, and I've just had a horrible thought. It may fray. Doesn't cut very well, does it? Right, so I would suggest you don't use a gross grain ribbon. It's okay, I'm happy with it. Like that. And then cut around again, making sure you can see what you're doing by coming from the back, because if you do from the front, you'll never know what you're up to. You'll never know where the underside bit is. And I love that, but it needs a button. And I got this years ago. I bought these clay buttons. And I think they're really cute. So I thought that would look perfect on the side of this stocking. So out with the hot glue. And then pop that into place. And look at that. That is craft number 5. For craft number 6, I'm going to use this little book again. And I'm going to use my yarn again. But this time I'm going to use my book this way because I want some longer bits of yarn. So wind it round and round, not too tight. But remember, if you do accidentally get it too tight, it's not a problem. You're just going to bend your book a little bit. When you've gone round enough times, chop it off. Cut yourself another little bit. And this time, because there's more of it, I'm going to do this actually on the book. Instead of trying to do things when it's off the book. Put it at the top end, tie a knot nice and tight, and then tie another knot. Now you can take it off your book or cardboard, Christmas card, whatever it is you've got. Make sure you're exactly halfway through so you catch every loop. Put your scissors in. Make sure this is at the top and then chop. Ooh, it's a cousin-it. Ooh. It's not cousin-it. I'm not making a cousin-it for Christmas. So now I've got another one of these plant pots. I used one of these last week in my other video. I love using these plant pots. They're so pretty, and I had, I think, 10 for £1. 15, I think. And it was 10 of the ceramic ones. There was a sale on in the garden centre, and I thought, oh, you can't leave those behind. Get yourself a ribbon and fold it in half, and I'm going to try poking this through the hole in a bead. It could be easy, could be a bit stressful. Let's have a look. Oh no, look at that. It came through nicely. I'm going to tie 2 knots to make sure I've got a nice big chunky knot, because I don't want that bead falling off. Put a blob of glue on there. Get my finger protector on and open this out, this knot, and pop it into place. And then, my bead's got glue to it. Come on. Everything's being very unruly. But before I do anything else with that, I want to deal with this. So this now, if you can see, I'm going to be making a gnome. So this needs to go up inside there. So I'm going to open this up. So I'm roughly in the halfway stage. Pop my finger protector onto my thumb. Pop some hot glue in the bottom. Just going to have to drop from a great height, like that. And then poke that up inside. I glued my finger protector. Oh no, come out. There we go. That's better. So I've got myself a sort of gnomey shape. It's cooled down a bit now. So next thing we need to do, I don't think if I'm going to trim him. I like him like that. Will it all come as a layer? I'm leaving it like that. I mean, he needs a nose. You can't have a gnome with no nose. So I could put it on. Oh, I'm definitely going to need to trim. I don't like that seam there. No, it's going to go around this way and I'm going to trim it. So I could put it through the hole there. I've got this button. Whoops, and I've also got this button. This isn't working out as well as I planned, because now those look like eyes. I don't want them to look like eyes. Okay, I think we need to do some work here. Yep, that should do the trick. That should hide the fact that those hearts are there. They're upside down anyway, so they don't look as good as they could. So you won't worry about hiding them. Just go in and out, all the way around. A little bit of glue. Right, change of plan. I don't like the button idea. So I've got my gnome, and I think I'll trim some of this beard first. Get it roughly straight. And now decide where the front's going to be. And I'm going to pop the nose on there. But what I'm going to do is stick it to the inside of the tin rather than stick it to the beard, because the beard is a little bit too mobile, I think, to be committing to sticking a nose to it. And now the top is a little bit, well, it's not pretty, is it? But I have here some moss. So I'm going to put this all around the bead, and I thought that would look quite woodlandish. There we go. So that, I think, is lovely. And also now we need to finish off with a little festive sprig. So I've got this here. Chop it off. And then where's his nose? Around that side. So we pop this on the front there. Or should we put it on the tin? Let's have a look. Pop it on the front. Sticking in the moss. I think that would be the best place to put it. Like that. So now we've got a really cute gnome hanger. Now he is a little bit uneven on the ends, but I'm not going to spend too long trying to get him all evened up, because I know what'll happen. I'll just keep going shorter and shorter, and eventually he won't have a beard. He'll be clean shaven. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I love him. Isn't he cute? I wonder, what could we call him? It's a Christmas gnome with a woodland theme. What would you call my gnome? For number 7 in our Christmas decoration video, I've got this. It's like a teardrop-ish sort of shape, and I'm going to use it as a Christmas bauble. So I want to glue it onto the felt, some yellow felt here. I'm going to try using my glue stick. I don't have a lot of success with glue stick and felt because felt's so fuzzy. But because this has been washed, I'm thinking I may, just may, get away with it. That's holding pretty good. And snip all the way around. And then I'm going to, I'll try with the glue stick. I can always come back with hot glue if I need to. So around there. Then fold all these bits in. I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue where it's going over another big chunk of felt because it doesn't like sticking to itself. And now this is always a challenge. Points. Do that and cut along there. I'm going to commit myself. Chop. Too late now. Come along there. Chop that little end bit off. And then come along here, fold that in. Now that is a mess on the back. So what I'm going to do, this is a paper template that I use to make the cardboard. So I'm going to cut in just a little bit like that. And throw that away. And then I'm going to draw around this. Oh, look at that naughty bit, come on. I can see you popping up. Would you try getting away with it? Pop that there. Cut around this. Chop, 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 chop. Just down the end there to the V. Pop that into place. Oh, I'm definitely going to have to iron this to get rid of that red now. Put that there. And then when that bit's stuck, go around the top. You'll never get it all the way around all of this without it cooling. So best to do it in 2 sections like that. Now, when you're taking your time, you'll be able to do this a lot neater than I'm doing it. And also, look at this. Oh, I forgot to show you as I was doing that. I'll show you on the back. You can see that marker. You just run over with your iron, and look at that. It really does just disappear. Got those from Temu. I can't remember how much I paid from Temu, but there was like 1 pen and 6 refills, something like that. 2 blue, 2 white, 2 blue, 2 white, and 2 pink. So they're marvellous. I didn't think, I was a bit sceptical. I thought they're not really going to disappear when you iron them, and they did. Right, to turn back around to the pretty side. And now I've got this braiding off an old vintage dress. Still got glue on there. So I thought that would come nicely along there. Look at that. So let's put the hot glue onto this rather than onto the decoration. Then come across like that, put it into place, then bend it around the back. And we're not too worried about the back being a mess, so we can just put a little bit of glue on and then push it around like that. And if you want to finish off the back really nicely, then feel free. It will look better. Undeniably, it's just that I'm trying to get everything done quickly. Now, we need to have a top on this bauble because it just looks like a random shape, doesn't it? We need to turn it into a bauble. I bought this bag of crowns. Now, you can make something similar if you want to. And I thought what I can do with these, it says pâtissier, so I think they're off cakes. I'm trying to get, look at this. So what I thought was that would probably glue on nicely there. I put this a little bit too high now. Okay, so let's try just taking this off like that, rounding it down, round that edge as well. Oh, there we go, that's fine. Put it into place. And we've got what looks like a very posh hanger on it. Now I've got somewhere, she says. Here they are, they were on the floor, these little diamondy things. I'm not sure where that one came from. So I thought I could add these to this. Now I don't know whether they'll stick. If they don't stick, I can put them on with hot glue afterwards. Another one there. And then another one at the top. Again, great if you've got children. If you're a teacher and you're looking for resources, things that your children can make to take home for Christmas, then these are a really clever idea. And you can even, if you're using normal cardboard, just white, they can paint the cardboard, whatever. You don't even need to have the sticking anything onto it. Just use coloured card. That'll be fine. Right, we just need a hanger. And for the hanger I know everything is going crazy here. I haven't hardly started yet, so I'll use some twine. I know twine doesn't really go for it. I've got a lovely gold tie for the top of this and I can't find it. So we'll use this twine instead. So there we go, project number 7. Moving on. For Christmas craft number 8, I've got this twine that Phyllis sent me, and it's a variegated twine. It's really interesting and it changes colour. Goes from yellow to purple to red and over and over and over. I've got my pen. I'm going to draw around this Christmas tree, but I want 3 Christmas trees. And I'm going to draw around each of them because I'm not sure which bits need to be drawn around, which bits don't. So I'm going for the whole lot. Right, so now cut them out. I've cut them out in one big lump and then go around it. It's just a little bit easier. Get your piece of embroidery floss. Any colour will do. You can do something coordinating so you don't see it. Or you can do it like I'm doing, very obvious. And as I'm doing too, you can use a variegated yarn or floss. And that way then it'll look pretty. So now coming through with the knot on the inside between 2 layers. Like that. Pull it through. And this is the same running stitch as we did on the others. So it just slightly in from the edge. I'm using a thicker needle this time. And I'm thinking, I'm starting to wish I'd used a thinner one, but it'll do. But being so close to the edge, it tends to stretch the felt fabric a little bit. Do a running stitch all the way around until you get to the top. But then when you get to the top, stop. So if you're doing this with me, don't think, oh, I'll carry on. I'll turn the video off now and go all the way around and then turn it back on. That won't work because you'll have gone too far. You're only going to the top of the tree. When you get to the top of the tree, I've just realised I'll have very yellow fingers. It's where the yellow felt is stuck to the glue on my fingers. It's not that my fingers are about to drop off with some strange disease. And then you want to open this out, pop in the next Christmas tree, match the points up nicely. So very, very close with a little tiny stitch. As close as you can do. It doesn't have to be ridiculously close. Do your best. And then come all the way down to the bottom of this tree. If you're not in a hurry and you do this, it's a real therapeutic thing to do. I love it. What they call slow stitching. And there's so many crafts we try to do in a hurry, and these are supposed to be quick crafts, but I could run around this with some hot glue. If I wanted to speed it up, and that's something you can always consider, you can run around it with a sewing machine if you've got a sewing machine and you like using it. But I just fancied in the middle of all this crazy rush to do a little bit of slow stitching. It's not taking too long at all, and it just gives me a little bit of time to relax, gather my thoughts before we get on to the next rush bit. When you get to the bottom of this one, do yourself a little stitch over the top of the stitch. And then for this, I'm not too worried about the way we finish it off. So I'm going to poke it through like that into the inside of the tree, cut it off there with a little bit of hot glue, like that. I'm going to glue the cotton up out of the way and chop the ends, and that won't go anywhere. Now you need another knot in your end because we're going to start a new section of stitching, and now you can see you've got this. You're going to be stitching on the other side. Now I'm going to start at the top again because I want my points to match up. That's very important. So I think I'll come through where there's already a stitch coming through. Like that. Poke the knot in out of the way. Let's just take a little bit of fiddliness, getting all 3 points to match up. Go through and then start sewing. And exactly the same down this side. And again, it's just in and out. poke the needle from bottom to top, pull it through, poke the needle from top to bottom, pull it through. How relaxing is that? Now tie a knot in the end of any thread that you've got left in here. If you haven't got any, you'll have to rethread your needle. Do a nice big chunky knot like that. And then you're going to poke up through the centre of the tree. This is a bit fiddly because it gets so tight for space when you get to the top. And then fiddle, fiddle, fiddle. Eventually, you'll get to come out of the top, like that. And then a little bit of a chop. Take your needle off, tie a knot, and you've got yourself a hanger. Next thing we need to do is put some stuffing in here. Remember, only little bits at a time. You try to go too fast and you'll just end up with a lumpy Christmas tree. And we can't be doing with lumpy Christmas trees. And when you get to the bottom, you're going to measure your gap. So you need a triangle of fabric now. There's going to be about 8 inches, 8 centimetres by 8 centimetres by 8 centimetres. Right, my compass has disappeared, so we're going to have to wing this. Could be interesting. So, oh, that's needy. So I'm going to do something a little bit bigger than this one. I know this is terribly, terribly inaccurate. Do not do what I do. Be much more accurate. I'm just using this just to try and get it done quickly. So I'm going to come across about a centimetre bigger than this piece of cardboard. If it goes wrong, then we'll think of somebody to blame, okay? I don't know who. Right, it's definitely a little bit too big there, isn't it? So I'm just going to trim a little bit off this end, like that. See if that helps. And then come in just a slight bit from the point. And now you want to pop that into the point there. And now coming over just a little bit away from the edge, just the way you did all the way around the Christmas tree. You want to do little stitches. So first go around the one side of the triangle. And when you come to the end of the one side, you've then got to sew the other side. Now I'm going to do an extra stitch over the stitch this side, on this point and on the other point, just to make sure it stays in position. While I'm doing this stitching, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to my subscribers. I know I've got lots of people who've been there right from the beginning of my craft journey. Well, before I did craft, I was doing art. So you've been in for many years now. And to all my new subscribers, anyone who's coming along the way, I really do appreciate you. And for everyone who comments and likes, shares my videos, it really does mean the world to me when you do that. And when you comment and like and share the video, it tells YouTube that somebody's actually enjoying this video, so perhaps we better recommend it, and then more people get to join the fun. And also, when it comes to comments, I've noticed more and more we're getting so many wonderful ideas coming in from you all. I'll do something and you will say, oh, you could have done this, or we could try this. This might work too. And we're all learning such a lot because we're all pooling our resources of thoughts and ideas. So please keep those ideas coming, and it's well worth you going and checking out those comments and reading them because they are very informative. And sometimes chats break out and you end up making new friends. So I definitely recommend you visit the comment section, isn't it, of the videos. Right, I'll see you when I get to the end of this. Oh, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up. When you get to the end of your sewing, do the same as usual. Put a little stitch over the stitch. And then go back in where you would be going in normally, up through to the middle of the Christmas tree. I'm going to push it on my desk to get it through because it's a bit stiff. And then pull it a little bit tight, snip it off, and it pops inside. But then I've got lots of different beads and pearly type beads here. Now your options are, you can, before you put these together, you can actually sew little French knots onto them or little stars, something like that. I'm going to glue some beads on after the fact. So again, you know me and hot glue, this could get messy. I will do my best. And just a matter of dotting a few little beads around. Like, as you can see with that one, I've left it with the hole sticking out. That's not the best way to put them. Try to put them sideways on, so you can't see the hole of the bead, or the hole in the bead. The hole of the bead you want to see, really, don't you? So find the hole, pop it on, and again, try not to get hot glue everywhere. So you can get the idea. You can do all the different sides with different decorations. You've got a button here. You could just put a button there. You could put 3 buttons down the middle. Whatever you fancy doing. So there we go. That is craft number 8. Just checking my numbers. Craft number 8 done. That did take a while, but I love it. I just think that is such fun. And it looks really impressive. You could make these and you could sell these easily, and you could settle down in front of the TV at night and whip them up. Even if you're going to be hand sewing them, it doesn't take too long at all. Right, let's get on with the next one. Because that was quite a long, intense craft. I've got myself a pipe cleaner. Poor thing. It's a bit wonky and bent. And I've got some beads. So I'm going to open up. You can see I got these for 25p from the charity shop. I'm going to put them out and hopefully not get them everywhere. Because they're not circular, they shouldn't roll about the place. And now I'm going to take a white one. I'm going to pop it on the end of this pipe cleaner there. Put a little bit of glue on the end. Oh, look at that. I've got a fluffy nozzle. And then give it a little push. And that should hold everything else into place. So now from the other end, I'm going to alternate red and white. Because these are star-shaped, not circular, I'm going to put them slightly at an angle like that so they go closer together. So white and red and white and red, and then, yep, you guessed it, white and red. You don't have to push them all up in one go. You can take your time, put them on the one end and then push them all up. Well, not all of them, you can't do too many, but you can do a fair amount and then move them up all in one go, and it just speeds things up even more. Even though it's such a quick, easy thing to do, it really doesn't take long at all. You haven't got to stick to red and white either. You can do different colours. I'm doing this because it looks a bit like a candy cane. But if you've got a pink themed tree, or you're looking for pink themed decorations, then obviously do pink. Whatever colour you fancy. And then when you get your last one, oops, bit of hot glue. Far too much hot glue on there. Make sure you get the right colour. Pop that one on. Hold it into place until it cools down. While that's cooling, you can clean up all the beads you've got dotted around your desktop if you're as messy as me. Then bend your pipe cleaner into the shape of a candy cane. And then you need a hanger. I think this would work better with round beads. It's not terribly happy with the star-shaped beads, even though they look good. I think I prefer the look to round beads. They keep trying to... It's almost like it's jointed. It wants to do its own thing. Put my hanger at the top there. And it's a bit messy, but that doesn't matter because I'm going to put a little tulip bow over the top. So squash that between the beads like that. Stick it over there to make it look a little bit neater. And then you can tie the top. And you've got yourself another lovely Christmas tree decoration. And it's up to you what beads you use. I prefer the look of the star beads, but I think that it's going to hang much nicer if you use round beads. There we go. Next project. For project number 10, I'm going to use some bits of ribbon, a feather, a bauble bead thing with a face on, a cotton reel, and some bits and pieces. The first thing I'm going to do is get this ribbon, and I'm going to glue this to this mini cotton reel. You can buy these, but I actually had this with some twine, like a pink twine on it. So this really is a freebie. It was just used as a way of making the twine look good to tempt us into buying, which worked. And now I can use the little cotton reel for something else. It's a little bit too narrow for this ribbon, but I think we'll be okay. We'll get away with it. Put that on there. Thing is, everything's red now, so I keep thinking, where have I put my finger protector? Now I'm going to tie a knot in the... Take... Oh, what's this? This is about 18 inches long piece of embroidery floss. I'm going to tie a knot in the bottom. And then poke it through, get the ends even, poke it through the bead with the loop at the top, otherwise she'll have an upside down face. I'm going to put some hot glue up inside the head, pull the knot back up, spread that a little bit so you get like a little bit of glue, gluing that onto there. You don't need a lot. And then chop the ends off. Like that. Now be very delicate with it at the moment because you don't want it pulling through. Then I'm going to get my feather and I'm going to pop some hot glue down this end. Like that. And I'm going to poke my feather into the top of her head. Like that. It's a very fat feather. And I'm going to get my cotton reel. Oh, that's coming round a bit too far. I'm going to chop a bit more of that off, that bit of cotton. Make sure the good side of the cotton reel is facing forwards. Good wodge of hot glue. And then this feather end is going to stick right into the cotton reel and form a good basis for attachment. Poke that little bit in there as well. Make sure the feathers to the front, the hangers to the back. Then I'm going to get this piece of ribbon and make a bow with it. So I'm going to do this. So if you put it flat on your hand, then loop one side over, then loop the other side over, pinch at the middle, like that. And then I'm going to get a pipe cleaner, come around the middle, leave a bit there at the top, come around the middle, once, twice, like that. And then make sure your bow is nice and even. Give it a twist to tighten it up. Chop it off. Remember, don't use your scissors to chop off your wires unless you're absolutely sure that your scissors can do it. Mine can. And then I'm just going to dovetail the ends of these, fold them together like that, and chop up to the middle. And then the same with this one, but I'm going to do it a bit shorter as well because it's a bit long. So fold it in half, which way, up to the middle. So easy to do it the wrong way and then go, oh no, like that. Then more hot glue into the hole at the bottom, poke the pipe cleaners up through the hole. Ooh, these are rather thick pipe cleaners. I don't know if both of them are going to go through. Oh, just about. They didn't want to. And there we go. We got ourselves a very flamboyant. She reminds me of sort of Moulin Rouge or Lady Gaga or something like that. A very cute little Christmas decoration. I'd really like her. I think she is so cute. For Christmas tree decoration craft number 11, I've got a cardboard heart, which is really not suitable. Look at the mess on that. So I'm going to cover it with some brown paper. Now for this video, I'll use this on the messier side. So you can see it really does work. But you can do this. This would look good done on both sides. But I'm only going to do the one. You'll put your paper onto your cardboard cutout shape. Again, I've got myself one main template I use, and I can draw as many as I like, and they'll all be the same size. And then, close to the edge, cut it out. And the only reason I'm putting this on is to hide the blueprinting and the words on the other side. You might be thinking, well, why are you putting the brown side out when it's pretty on the back? I don't want this to be pretty. I want this to just disappear when I add the burlap on top. And then if you're going to be putting burlap both sides, put some of this the other side as well. I think I'll put some of this the other side anyway, and that way then it does look a little bit more finished. So now, if you're going to be putting burlap both sides, you definitely need to do this at this point, which is why I'm going to do it at this point. I'm going to get a hanger. Oh, I think I'll use a string hanger for this one. So I'm going to turn that back over. And now cover this with glue stick. If you have a favourite glue stick that's really good, can you put, if you don't mind, would you mind putting your recommendation into the comments so that other people can check? I like this Scotch glue stick. Ever since I had them, I thought, wow, they're wonderful, and I've never used anything else. But you may find there are other things that are just as good. Just I don't know them, so I can't advise everybody to use other ones when I don't really know how good they are. So if you know something, then please let us know. Stick that on there, and I'm going to go for both sides. I know. I wasn't going to. Right, so now I'm going to cut out, but I don't want to cut out right next to the edge. I want to fray it, so I'm going to cut about half-inch-ish around the shape. If I can see where the shape is. So now get your pokey thingy. Now everybody needs a pokey thingy. And then just fray away at the ends. Some bits will come off. And some bits will just look a bit messy. And I would say doing this, you definitely at least need to give your glue stick time to dry, because it's still managing to pull some bits out that I don't want pulled out. Some of it out now. So we shall work with it. I'm going to cut now into the heart a bit better. So you can see it is a heart, not a blob. We don't really want a blob. And then trim it all. I'm going to stick something on the front. Take that bit out as well. So I've got a few little bits and pieces. I wasn't sure what I was going to use. I know I want to use one of these little holly bits. I bought this for 50p and I just keep pulling bits off it. It's marvellous. It's much cheaper than buying foliage and little holly sprigs. Take that like that. And then let's have a look. See what looks nicest. That looks pretty. I've got this little well, it's not a creature, it's a character. I'm not sure who they're supposed to be. I'm not sure if that's long hair or a beard. Oh, that actually looks quite nice. I don't know. What do you reckon? Hanger's getting in the way. No, I think that's too cluttered. Sorry, you'll have to wait until another video comes up that you look good on. So I'm just going to glue these into place on the front of the heart. That there. And then I would put a red gingham bow on this, but unfortunately I've only got a small studio, but Christmas in July is everywhere, and I put my roll of red gingham ribbon down, and do you think I can find it? Correct. No, I can't. So it is in the room somewhere. When I find it, I can start using it again. Until then, it's going to have to all be black. I still think it looks nice anyway. Look at that. Oh, I think I'll take a little leaf off this as well and put an extra little holly leaf behind there into the glue. Oh, and I think that's really pretty. Maybe a bit off centre. Slide it a bit while it's still a little bit warm. Yeah, I like that. It's a real shabby chic country Christmas decoration for your Christmas tree. And you can decorate the other side if you want to. It's one idea, and I've just had, you could use an embroidery floss and sew around the edge just where the cardboard ends, a big blob of hot glue stick there, to make it look pretty all the way around. It would really highlight the fact it is a heart. If I get some of this, you can see if this was stitching all the way around, I think that would look pretty, but I really don't have the time, but I may do that after I finish filming the video. Right, that is number 11. For this Christmas decoration or Christmas tree decoration, I thought I'd do something a little bit different, because we've had lots of woodland themed and country themed traditional colours. I thought I'd go for something a little bit more on the glam end. So I've got a Christmas bauble. It's a bit weird. It's got like yellowy, smoky bits on it and goodness knows what. But that's not going to be there for much longer. Now, I did wonder whether to take the end of this off, but I don't think I'm going to. Now, somebody's put some sellotape on the end of this string. It's like a cording rather than a string. Got it in this little nylon thing so it doesn't keep unwinding. But I think I'm going to take that off. I don't think I can hide it. Oh, here we go. Chop, it's gone. Put another finger protector on. And then a tiny bit of glue there on the end. And then just squeeze it together. There we go. And now it won't come undone. So now I'm going to start wrapping this bauble with some of this cording until I get nearly back to where I started. And then I'm going to get these beads. Look at these, they're beautiful. And I'm going to start with some beads there. So there's a little bit of glue there that I push into. And then I'm going to come around with glue and then beads and then cord. And come right the way down the bauble like that. I think I can take some of this off now. I always feel so cluttered with finger protectors. They're very good, but they're very clumpy. I think somebody should invent second skin finger protectors that just feel like they've got nothing on them. But then again, they probably wouldn't keep out enough heat then. You'd burn yourself. So it'd be a waste of time wearing them, wouldn't it? All the way around with the beads and all the way around with the cording. And this gives such a glamorous look. Look how much fluff I got on this. This gives such a glamorous look for very little effort. And this is another one of those crafts that you can just change up to be anything you like. You could change the colour of the cording, the beads, both. You could just do cording, just do beads. I think the beads tuck nicely between layers of cording. I think you'd have a lot more plastic showing if you didn't have the cording that's a little bit soft in between, filling up the gaps, if you see what I mean. And I think this would look lovely if the whole tree was decorated in these. I think it'd look good if you did a whole tree of these, some with the beads, some without. Funnily enough, rather than put them all like that, I think it would break it up to have some with just cord, some with cord and beads. And then just fill the tree. I quite like the idea of this purpley colour as all your Christmas decorations as well. My problem is I could never decide for the rest of my life. I was always going to have a traditional tree or a pink tree or a frozen themed tree. I just love all the different styles, and so every year I keep all my baubles and things, and then I decide, what am I going to do this year? And some years I use my country style. Sometimes I use all red, sometimes all silver, sometimes multicoloured, a bit of everything. I've got a denim look Christmas tree. I do have several videos on decorating a tree in different styles. I know there's the denim one. I think I did a country one. That was lovely. I'm trying to think what else I did. I've made so many Christmas decorations over the years, I forget all the ones I've done. We're coming to the end now, and this is why you'll see I start at the top. You can start at the bottom, but how do you know that you're perfectly central? And even if you've taken great pains to be perfectly central, you can't guarantee that you're coming out at exactly the right, I don't know, altitude, I was going to say angle, to get it to end up perfect at the top. Plus the place it's seen most, is where it's more noticeable then, is at the top. That's where people will spot if it's out of line. So I like to start at the top, and then I know I'm going to get it exactly right. It's a little bit fiddly on this last bit because you've not got a lot of room. But just take your time, be patient, and you'll get there. And if you don't, pop an embellishment on. It's the answer to everything, that. If it goes wrong, hide it with an embellishment. Don't worry, because lots of crafters do. There's nothing wrong with getting it wrong. Only time it's no good getting it wrong is if you don't really learn anything from that mistake. I think we all learn from our mistakes and then go, I'm not doing that again. So there we go. A little bit of pushing and wiggling, and it's a bit awkward because it frays the end of this cording. I think I'll use my pokey thingy to make sure I get as much of that poked in as possible. A bit fiddly, but it can do it. And there you go, look at that. Now, hasn't that changed? That is so different to what I started off with. I absolutely love it. I think it's gorgeous, really high end. I mean, that is super posh, isn't it? Right, so that was craft number 12. For craft number 13, I'm going to draw some circles. I'm going to draw a circle around on one piece of felt there, and then I'm going to draw a circle around on this piece of wadding. Not sure what it's off. I've used it for something else. It's got lots of glue bits on it, but it doesn't matter. I draw a circle around this like that. Very difficult on wadding. And I'm going to cut out the circle of the wadding, cut out around this. I'll show you. Let's do this one. I'm just going to cut around, leaving some nice space on it. Cut around the wadding. And then finally cut a chunk about the same size as this. It hasn't got to be very accurate because you're going to trim it later. Like that. So I'm going to take my piece of embroidery floss with a knot in the end in white and make sure the needle's threaded. Go to my piece that I've drawn the circle on, and then I'm just going to draw a few lines on this. Remember, this is that disappearing ink, so I haven't got to worry about it so much. There. No, it's not very central, is it? Oh, it'll do. It'll do. What's a bit of wonkiness between friends? So I'm going to divide it into 4-ish, and then again into 8. Don't know if you can see that. Now this is going to slow us down again. It's a sewing one. So I'm going to come up at the middle, and then I'm going to do a bigger than last time stitch, then come up. And then, brace yourselves, we're going to go back down and cover that gap. There. This is what they call back stitch, but don't panic. It's just because you've gone back. And now come up a bit further away from your last stitch. There. And then back to fill the hole in. Then once more, leave a gap. Go back, but this time I'm doing something different. I'm going to come back out of the stitch that I went into, and I'm going to go one way over here, back into the stitch that I came out of last time, and I'm going to go one of those over there too, like that. So you've got yourself a very tall Y. And then without pulling too tight, I'm just going to wiggle and jiggle this to get it back to the middle by just looping it halfway down, go through there, but just be careful not to pull tight. And then come back up through right at the centre again and do the same over this side. So you're going to go in and out, pull it through, back to where you came from, and forward again. And then back to where you came from, and forward again. Losing my circle, I can hardly see it now. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 to the centre, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back out to there, and then do a little Y again. So over to that side. Back in where you came out of. Now you can just stick embellishments on if you don't want to sew. It's certainly not compulsory that you sew. But it's worth giving it a try. You might surprise yourself. You might think, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Look at that, I've impressed myself. And if not, well, you've tried and you know you can't do it then. back to the center, and you want to do exactly the same now, going that way and that way. 4 obvious back stitches and a Y at the end. So you've got this. Now you need to go back to the middle again, and I'm going to do a snowflake, but a really basic snowflake. I don't think you'll come up with much more of a basic snowflake than this. So back to that center hole again. Remembering not to pull anything too tight. And then you want to do a back stitch going off on one of the diagonals. And then come back out to the top back stitch there. So you're only doing 2 this time. And then you do yourself that like you did last time, a little Y. 1, 2. Now there are so many patterns you can use for making a snowflake, but I thought we'd go for the most basic thing you could possibly get, and that way then you won't be worried. So just go under one of the pieces of cotton on the way back to the middle again, 2 back stitches. So you've got your first one that you don't actually go back on, back to do your second stitch, then do your little Y, and do that on all 4 diagonals. There you go, you've got yourself a little snowflake. So now wiggle your way across to a couple of threads. And then you don't really have to work hard to finish this off because it's going to be all sealed in. So do a little, go through a stitch and then pick up that loop, pull, you've got yourself a knot, just cut the end off. Look at that. If you've never sewn before, well done, you can do it. So now we're going to be putting this onto the paddy bit. So if I fold that in half there, we know where the center is. And if I fold the paddy bit over like that, so that's the center. I should have folded that in the other way really, but I can see the center anyway, it's there. And that is going on there like that. Ugh, big blob of glue. So now I'm going to lift half of that up. Put a little bit of glue around the outside, glue it down, and then glue the other half, like that. And this is just going to go on the back like that. Now you've got 2 options. You can either sew it or you can glue it. Now, I don't really want to spend the time sewing because I've got so much to do, but I can't resist. I can't help it. I'm going to sew it. So I haven't had my tea yet. Time is rolling on, but I just don't want to stop. I'm determined to get this filming finished. I want to get 20 crafts out there for you for this week. Oh, in case you hadn't noticed, because you may not come in on the day that I normally release my videos, I've started releasing them on a Sunday now. Seems to be where most of my viewers are on, so it seemed the most sensible thing to do. Right, so tie a knot in your twine and come through. I'll show you really close to where your wadding starts. Poke your knot there, and then this is a bit fiddly because my line I don't think is completely matched up with where I put everything. Come around where as soon as you feel the end, feel with your fingers, as soon as you can feel the end, you know that's where your needle's going to go all the way around. And yes, it would be easier if I'd stitch this in, or if I draw my circle in exactly the right place. Is it? No, definitely not in the right place. It's definitely really wonky. Ah, I know what I can do. I've just had a brainwave. Scary. If I put that there over the top where I can feel it, I can now draw a line and I can stitch to that line. Aha! Genius. Well, not really. If I was genius, I wouldn't have ended up in this mess in the first place, would I? I think that's it all done. There we go. Oh, look at that. Oh, now we're away. So now we're back to not even doing back stitch. We're doing that lovely easy running stitch, which is just in and out, in and out, in and out. When you get to your last stitch, same as before, do a double stitch. Make sure you come up, even though you've gone in the same way the one side, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll come out at the same point on the top because felt is so thick. So do yourself a double stitch and then poke into the back, give it a tug and a snip, out it comes. Now, you can cut this straight. I'm going to get my pinking shears. And I'm just going to go around the outside just a little bit, tiny bit away from the sewing. Not much at all. Like that. It's so much easier if you cut this after you've sewn. If you try cutting and then sewing, it's not so easy. So much easier to get an even distance between the cut and the stitch, like this. Like that. Then, get your embroidery floss, tie a knot in the end. And then decide where you want the top to be. Now that is a little bit wonky, but what's a little bit of wonkiness between friends? We'll go that way as the top. So I'm going to go in and then out at the top there. And hopefully that knot will poke through the gap. Yep, there it goes. A little tug on the end and snip that off. Now you've got an invisible end. Chop off the top, tie a knot, and look at that. Now that did take a long time. Looking on my camera, and 18 minutes that took. But when you think 18 minutes to come up with something like that. And if that's your first, what's that there? I thought that's a bit odd. If that's your first time you've ever sewn, then absolutely well done. And you can go and you'll be more elaborate. You can take your time and do something much neater. But I think that is lovely. And that is craft number 13. For craft number 15, I've got this lovely piece of felt. Now, this I bought from Hobbycraft. I think you'll probably get it from Hobby Lobby and, I'm trying to think of other craft places now. Probably Poundland or Dollar Tree. I'm going to turn it over, and I've got this little template of a holly leaf that I drew. I'm going to be out with my pen again, get my money's worth out of these pens, and draw around the holly leaf. And I've left, as you can see on the end of the holly leaf, I've left a long piece. Make sure you leave a nice long piece like that. And these you don't need to be, you can be cutting right up to the line. So whereas up until now, most of the things we've done have been leaving a little bit of bit around the outside. We're not doing that, so you can squash more on. I'm hoping to get 3 out of this. Ooh, just about, look at that. Now you want to cut them out, but when you're cutting them out, you can have a little bit of artistic freedom. If you're coming along and think, oh, I accidentally cut that a little bit wrong, or I want to make that a bit more pointy, then you can feel free. Just don't go too far away from your original lines, because otherwise you could end up with something that doesn't look like a holly leaf. If you don't want to draw a holly leaf yourself, then if you go online and put in holly leaf template, there are just so many of them. There's one. You can also make these whatever size you want. You can make giant ones if you wanted to. And there's also, if you wanted to do some sewing, you could sew these. You could put, like, you know, the veins of the leaf. You could put those on. I'm not going to. I think we've done enough sewing for the moment. So we're just going to see what it would look like if you don't want to sew. So now when we turn these over, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I've got myself some embroidery floss. I'll find the end. When I don't buy these new, they tend to come in rather ruffled up condition. I can never find the end. I think I found it. There are 2 ends to embroidery floss. One that's easy to see normally and one that isn't. But I can only find one, so I'm going with that one. No, that's not the end. If you pull the wrong end, it just knots it up. Oh, wait a minute, it's going. It's going. Well, I can feel it's knotting up inside, but never mind. Right, I've got my bigger needle, my Sashiko needle, because it's got a bigger eye. I'm going to gather my leaves, my holly leaves, in a pleasing fashion, like that, I think. And then I'm going to come through there and down twice, just to lock the leaves in place a little bit so they don't want to flop around too much. And then make the hanger. So it's not really sewing. You could just glue a hanger on if you want to, and then glue the holly into place. I may glue the leaves into place anyway, just to be doubly sure they don't go wandering. Let's see how effective this is first. So chop that off. I didn't really even have an end that side. Never mind. Knot can be a little bit lower. Doesn't matter. And there we go. So now we've got our holly, dangly holly, and yeah, I think I am going to put a little bit of glue on them to hold them exactly where I want them to be, because they're not hanging completely the way I put them. So over the years, when they're stored in your decorations box, they are going to end up moving all around the shop. So put them where I want them, and then a blob of hot glue, and there, that's better. Now all we need is a couple of holly berries. I got these. I know they're bigger than holly berries, but I'm going to use them anyway. I'm going to pull them off the wires. We don't need those. One of the tips that somebody gave me this week was if you get a berry and it's like that, the outside comes off, you can use a little bit of nail varnish. How clever is that? To cover it up. Or Ed, I think it was, said, whoops. It may not have been Ed. I'm not sure, but somebody said you can put a little bit of snow on them. Make it look like they're covered in snow. That was clever too. You have such clever ideas. Pull that off there, and there we got ourselves a lovely dangly holly decoration. How easy was that? Now for craft number 15. I'm going to get this. You don't need one of these. You can use the scissors, you can use a pruners. I'm going to use one of these, and I want to make these this long skewer I want to turn into 2 shorter skewers. So let's have a look. That is 16 inches long, so I want 2 8-inch long ones. Drop it there. Drink. So now I've got those there, and I've got these here. These are going to be a pair of skis, and these are going to be the ski sticks. So I'm going to, first of all, glue these across like that, like as if they're a pair of stacked skis. So a blob of hot glue there. And then stack them, I don't know, like that-ish. I'm never quite sure what angle to put them at. I really enjoyed making the, well, almost full-size set of skis. Well, they were about 3 foot long, but like a porch standing thingy. Is it porch stander? Porch sitter? Porch something they call them. And that was lovely. I enjoyed making that last year. So now we need the ski sticks. And I've got the ski sticks, but you need to do something with them. Normally these would be up there, but for the sake of art, they're not going to be, because the little hole in these, whoops, is too narrow to thread a skewer through. So I'm going to glue it onto the end of my skewer, like that, and do the same with this one. And while they're drying, I've got this piece of leather, and I want to cut a very, very thin strip. I've just had an idea. I'm going to use this instead. Because it's so thin, I'll get away with it, and it's sparkly. And who doesn't love a bit of sparkle at Christmas? So I'm just going to cut a thin strip off, like that. I'm going to make a loop, because you need a loop to put them around your wrist. Glue it up, like that. And then chop a bit off. And put that around the top of the ski. Then glue that into place. And measure the other one to make sure it's the same size. Pull the glue strings off. That's about it. Near enough. Little blob of glue. Poke it into place. Oh, everything's catching. Oh, about there. And then on with some glue. Put it over a bit and stick that into place. Now do my skis to the top like that, facing outwards. Now it's a bit of a mess, but that doesn't matter. We're going to add even more glue now onto that area there, because we're going to put a little embellishment on. Who doesn't love a little embellishment? Like that. And then something red in the middle. I tell you what would look fun. I could do something sensible like berries. But what about that? I like that. Oh yeah, I'm going for the hat. Is there enough glue to hold that on? Do I need a bit more? Yeah, just a little bit more. Oh yes, I like that. What we? Oh, what's that doing? Come on. You're wandering around again. I'm having nothing but trouble with you. And now we just need a hanger. So I'll just turn that over. And then a little blob of glue there, and there. And there we go. Look at that. I really love it. I love that hat. I didn't know if it would work, but I think it's wonderful. I think I will stick a little bit more embellishment though. I think you could do with a few more little bits sticking out. We have our next project. Project number 15. So project number 16 is going to involve a star. So I've got my star template. I'm going to draw around it on this piece of old card. You don't have to worry, my lines are not straight, but then when you put your scissors from angle to angle, corner to point, they just come out straight. I got this fabric last year in the sale after Christmas at Hobbycraft. It was reduced to £5. So I thought, let's have a look. I was going to use some plaid, this check on it, if I can get in. Pointy thingy. There we go. I always love free things, and with this you get a little bit of free ribbon. So I was going to use plaid on this. Then I thought, I like this. It's not a burlap. It's more of a, oh, I don't know what you would call, what would you call that? It's not a cheesecloth. I think it's too thick for a cheesecloth, but it's very nice. So I think I'm going to use this on my star. I think we should be fine with the glue stick on this one. Really is a bit slimy, this cardboard, for what I'm doing, but it'll be okay. And then I'm going to pop it on and then cut around. And then cut. After you've given it a bit of a thud. Stick on, stick on. Right, check it's all glued. If it isn't, you just got to lift up the end and give it a little bit of extra glue. This doesn't seem to be, oh, stick now. Sticking. Right. So now I'm going to make a hole in this. I've got this, it's my big bite. There we go, made a hole in the top of my star. Before we go any further, I might as well put a twine hanger on it. Again, if you want to finish this off, you can. I'm not going to spend the time finishing the back off, but it's easy enough. You can put another bit of material, bit of brown paper, anything like that, or completely decorate the other side as well. That's another option. Now, when I journal, I make things called clusters, and it's really a cluster. It's just a pile of things. It sounds a bit odd, so I'm going to try doing that with this. I've just got this offcut of burlap from project we did earlier. Fray some of it. Like that, make it look a little bit scruffy. We're trying to go for like a country theme. I was going to put that there, and then orange slice on there, and then I was going to put a red bow, but as you know, we're not putting a red bow, so I don't know what I could do. I could put a twine bow. So now it's time for assembly. So I'm going to glue that onto there, like that. Then I'm going to glue my, is that what I wanted to be? Yeah, I wanted to look tatty. And then little bow. Where can I put my bow? Should I put my bow up there? That might look nice. Or I could put it coming out the back of the shooting star. No, I don't think that's working, is it? Put a little bow there. Oh, decisions. Come on, make a decision. I'm going for it. It's going up there. Haven't got time to spend ages today thinking. Well, one thing you can do is something that we do a lot of in journaling too, is inking. So, if you hear me rummaging, I'm trying to find my brown ink. I've got my brown ink dauber. Let's see if there's enough on there, just to age the edges there. See the difference that makes? I think it's really nice. Definitely got that primitive country look. I should have done this really before. I've done as much as I have, but never mind. It's not wrong, it's just a learning experience. But there. Oh, and I really like that. I think that really does look primitive. Yep. Oh, very nice. Much nicer than I thought it was going to come out, actually. Right, so that was project number 16. Let's carry on with the next one. Now my desk is getting messy. For project number 17, I got some yellow yarn, and I'm going to sacrifice my star because it's a little bit badly cut. So I'm going to make a new one of those. So I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to get it in a double thickness. Quite a long length. Chop it. Now this yarn I got in France in a brocante, which is a street market or a flea market, and there were 2 sacks full of yarn with free written on them. It wasn't free. And it was gratuit. And I thought, oh, yes, I think I wouldn't mind that. So I chatted with the lady. She said, yes, it's all free. So I helped myself. And now I'm going to make a star with it. And I'm going to keep this star forever. And it'll always remind me of my time at the Brocont when I got my very, very reasonable priced yarn. When you run out, because you run out very quickly if you do this double, get yourself another bit. Well, you can just keep using the ball, but I find I drop the ball and I just get in a terrible mess. So you can do a knot because you're not going to see this is going to be buried. There. So go through the loop and then tie a knot. Make sure it's on the end of the loop. And then now I'm going to go around like this so that I can start doing the pointy bits. And there's something there to hold it in place. And every now and then, when you start doing the pointy bits, you may decide you want to put on a bit of glue just to hold it in place. Right, I'll keep winding and I'll get back to you when I've got this all over my star. Oh, sorry, I meant to show you. When you get to the end, come under some of the threads, cut your end, come under some of the threads, pop a bit of hot glue under there, squash it down, and then trim that end close, and then you won't see anything hanging. I've got a little bit of a knot showing there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move those over a little bit. There we go. And the idea is that you get a really nice bulky centre like that. And I just love the feel of this. It's great fun. And if you've got a little gap like I have there, then we just go in and fix it. So a little bit of glue under there. Put your finger protector on. And poke those ends in and tuck them in out the way. Now you won't see the join. Then a tiny bit of glue on the bit that you can still see, like that, and then come over, squash it into place like that, and then the same principle, come around the back, chop it short, find yourself some you can pop your ends under like that, spread them out a bit, little bit of hot glue. Now, look at my gun. Snip the ends off, like that. And now you can either leave it as it is, or you can embellish. I'm thinking of adding some of these. Oh, pull it. It's just a big clump of them. It's nothing, there don't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it. But I thought I'd put those on, so if I use that as the top. So I'm going to get my yarn. Somewhere in one of my needle cases, I've got a nice chunky yarn needle. There we go. One side to the other. Keep it in as tight as you can though to the actual cardboard. Chop it off and tie a loop. Or tie a knot. Go tie a loop to you, tie a knot. There we go. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. There we go, so I got my hanger, so now I'm just going to pop those on the front there. I haven't decided yet what I'm putting on front of those yet. I've just decided I'm going for something simple. I've got lots of things here, but nothing really seems to suit. So I'm just going to pop that little tiny bit under there at an angle. And I just think that it gives it a little bit of lift from it just being a blob of the white things. And I love that. It's fun. It's chunky. You can make as many as you want to. As long as you've got enough yarn, you can just make a whole tree full of yarn stars. Isn't that fun? Now for craft number 18. And for that, I've got this Christmas tree. It is about 4 inches tall. And I'm not going to do an awful lot with this Christmas tree. I'm going to do something that's less work and more impact. So I've got this ribbon here. And I've been waiting for the perfect project for this ribbon. I think this is going to use up some of it. Chop that end off. And I think this is gorgeous. Look at that. Well, there's gold on it. I'm going to stick some to my tree at the bottom. And then I'm not going to trim the end yet. I'm going to put some more embellishments on first. I've got this, which isn't finished on the ends, but that doesn't matter. So I'm going to glue that now in place over the top of this, up a little bit further, if you see what I mean. Pull it straight, and that way then it gives it more of a ruffle. Chop that off. And then I'm going to put another bit of this on. I may regret not trimming this as I go along. It just seems to make more sense not to. I could be wrong. Another piece of that. And now I do have some other lace shirt. I'm not sure whether to use or not. I think I may stick to just these two. I think they're looking really good together. I think I'm going to, yes. So along there. Pull that straight so we've got a nice curly edge again, and chop. And then a bit more ribbon. Is it me or am I going a little bit wonky? I think I am. Let's see if I can correct that. I think that's corrected. And then I just got the top. I was thinking of putting this star on the top. Yeah, I think that's going to go lovely. I'm going to leave that on because it turns it into a hanger, doesn't it? But I am going to take some of this off the back because they're very three-dimensional, these. There's my scissors. See if I can do it better with that. And they stick out too far. So I don't mind it sticking out in the front, but I don't want it held away from the back in, if you see what I mean. Clear it off. Now, before I do that, I'm going to trim the ends. Come down the back. Chop, 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 chop. And down here. Chop, 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 chop. Add my star. Lots of hot glue in the hole on the back. Pop it into place. Ow, that's hot. Like that. And that is going to take a while to cool because it's such a big blob of hot glue. But I really like to make sure they're on very firmly. And look at that. That's really easy. It's really sweet. I think it's lovely. And you can use up those little bits of special ribbon and little bits of frilly stuff that you've got in your drawing here. What on earth can I do with that? Well, there you go. And then just embellish the top of it. I think that is really nice. And it's project number, let me check, 18. 2 to go. Now this is going to be interesting because I had everything laid out, put it into bags, and was remembering little tips, giving myself, putting even of the embroidery flossing so I knew exactly what I was using. And I forgot what I was doing with this one. I know it was an angel, so we'll go for an angel and see what we can do. So I need to make her a dress first. So I'll use this. And this dress will become the body. So I'm going to make a cone. I can't remember what I did originally decide, whether I was going to cover a cone or something. I really have no idea. Right, so I'm going to put a line of glue up here. I can put my finger protectors on because I've already burnt myself once now. I'm getting sloppy. Do you find that as you get tired, you get sloppy? And then fold that in like that. I'm going to be very careful now. Push my finger up like that. There we go. So now we just need to trim that off. And then level this off, which I'm never very good at. It always ends up going a bit wonky. I don't know why. I'm sure there's a knack to this. I'm going to chop off the point, round it off, and then, oh yes, she's going to fit nicely on there. So next thing I'm going to do is make a hanger. I'm not sure if this was to make a hanger with or not, but I'll make one with it anyway. Poke it up through Angel's head. Ow! Oh, it's not hurting. It is. No, it's not. You know what they say, a little bit of pain never hurt anyone. And there we go, Angel's revenge. I cannot thread this through her head, so I'm going to have to use my needle. So I want the loop at the top. There we go. This is a lovely big chunky one, this. Tie a knot, just for more grip, really. We can do a double one. Why not? Same they charge. And now I'm going to glue that onto the end of her head. Now I'm going to glue her head to her dress. The cotton is going to have to, well, I snip the cotton off. It's not going to fit in. It's a nice thought, but I'm never going to manage to line that up. And then I'll put some hot glue, not on my finger. I don't know if you saw that then. I actually put it on my finger. And then pop the head in place and give it a gentle push, like that. There we go. She's coming on nicely. So now we need some wings. I think we'll come over like that, and then like that, and like that. What do you think? Do you think they're sufficiently angel-like? Oh, they're a bit big. Yes, they're very giant wings. Right, so we need to shrink those a little bit. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, if that's a better size. So now I'm just going to use a bit of artistic license when I cut them out. There. And there. Yep, that's going to be fine. So now I just do a blob of hot glue up the fold. I'm going to fold it up and give it a push with my fingers, but I'm going to actually use the other side because you can see a little bit of the pencil line. Right, then on you go. Oh, I've got wings. Yes, you look very pretty. Thank you. And then I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue down there. Oh, that's smart. And then a little bit of hot glue down here. And it just holds the wings a little bit more facing forward. Like that. So make her a little halo out of yellow. Because she's a yellow angel. Oh, remember the Power Rangers with the green Power Ranger and the red Power Ranger? Well, she's a yellow angel. So I'm going to chop that off. There are two options. I could put it on her head. She doesn't have any hair. I think I'll do that. Or I could put it like that. What do you think? No, because she doesn't have any hair, I think I'll put it on her head. Normally I put them sticking up the back. But I obviously hadn't planned to put hair on her for some reason. So she's not getting any. Pop that through there. Oh, burn my fingers. Make sure that knots at the back. Try not to get hot glue everywhere. Get hot glue everywhere and then have to clean it up later. There we go. Oh, doesn't she look lovely? And now because I have it spare, I'm going to put some more of this beautiful vintage braid all around the bottom of her dress. We'll start at the back. Glue it on. And then work right the way around, gluing it a little bit at a time. You can embellish this in any way you want to. You can put some sequins on her wings. You could make her wings out of lace. That would be pretty. So many things you could do. It's one of those crafts that really the world's your oyster. Whatever you fancy and whatever you've got will work. So there we go. We've got craft number 19 and she is so sweet. Look at that. Hello. I really like that. Right. It's the last one. We've made it to 20. Will we finish the 20th? We'll find out. So for craft number 20, we're getting there. I've left this till last because I'm probably going to get covered in paint because I not got time to let the paint dry, but it's the only option I got. I really do have to paint things. So I've got some black opaque here. There's not a lot left in this, but it should have enough to do what I want to do. You shall find out. And I've got these 3 cotton reels. I'm going to paint the first cotton reel black. These are old vintage cotton reels. I've used all the cotton off them now. I've got loads. I bought a load years and years ago when people really weren't interested in vintage cotton reels. I got them for such a good price. Using acrylic paint because it's quick to dry and also one coat should do it. I wonder in the future how many things that we're using will become collectible to future generations. Like, oh, wow. You mean your grandma had one of those and you've inherited it, you lucky thing? I think a lot of that's going to go on. I'm not even going to wash my brush. I'm in so much of a hurry to get this last one done. I'm going to put some red by the side of this here and paint the next cotton reel red. I love fresh painting over something that's never been painted. Something special about it. Some of these paints, I got them secondhand and they're pretty old and gloopy and awful, but I got them so cheap. Right, so I'm already getting problems now. Black on there. So I'm going to put those down on there and let them dry a little bit. I need to paint the top of that and I don't know how on earth I'm going to do it, because I haven't got time to put thick paint on and let it dry. Oh dear. Right then. Move this out of the way, and I really have to wipe my hands at least. So while those cotton reels are drying, I'm going to take some black embroidery floss, tie a double knot, trim the end a little bit, and I got 2 black pom-poms. And I want a long, thin black pom-pom, but I can't because they don't sell them. So I caught 2 circular ones. I've cut the ends off. Can you see I've flattened them? So now I'm going to just drop a bit of glue on there and then stick the one flat bit to the other flat bit, like that. And they sort of, I didn't want to cut too much off, because if I cut half off each so they matched, I'm still going to end up with just one pom-pom. And I couldn't have saved myself actually having to cut it. So I've done that. Now I'm going to get my pokey thing, and on the top I'm going to make a bit of a gap of a hole so I can see what I'm doing. Poke in a little bit of hot glue and then pop that on there, and hopefully I'm going to be able to push that in again into the hole I created. And this is something I've never done before. I have no idea how easy or difficult it is. And then squeeze it all up. And I got a little hanger. And now I've got a bead. This is a big chunky bead of some vintage necklace that was broken. I picked it up broken and took all the beads off it. And I'm going to glue this to the bottom of my fuzzy oval. Stick that on there and then push it up. Right, now if you're of a nervous disposition and you don't like people being covered in paint, this is probably not the ending that you're going to really enjoy, because I'm going to go for this. I got this gold here, and this cotton reel isn't dry yet, but I'm going to go for it anyway. And the plan is, finger protectors. What have I done with those now? I can't find anything. Oh, you should see the state of my studio. And then I'm going to come down an angle there and glue it to the bottom on the opposite side. Like that. Then I'm going to come around, back up and glue it over there, if you see what I mean. So we'll touch the bottom there, it's touching the top there, and I'm just going to come around to where it would have joined up and chop that there. This is very difficult to explain, so sorry my explanation isn't the best. Pop that on there, and what I want really is that cross on the front. That's what I'm looking for. Got any clues yet what I'm doing? So now I'm going to take the 2 black cotton reels and I'm going to stick the one on top of the other. Find the best, because I missed little bits. Oh, you don't mind, do you? Some hot glue on there and put one cotton reel on top of the other cotton reel, like that. And then I'm going to stick the red cotton reel on top of 2 black cotton reels, like that. Now, be warned, this, I don't know if it's just me, but this hot glue is drying so quickly. I've got a real problem getting this to stand straight on the bottom, because it's all sticking out. It's just gone, it's set straight away. No idea why. Could be because the cotton reels are hot, because I did put a little bit of a blast of hairdryer on them. So not a good idea. So now I get this bit. I'm sure you're starting to guess what this is now. So easy to make. Get my head and my hat, my Busby hat. And then a blob of glue in the middle there. And glue that to the top there. And there, look at that. That's a lot for fun. It's just 3 cotton reels, and you don't need wooden ones. You can use plastic ones. I would recommend you take a little bit more time over the painting. Oh, look. So there you go. That is my 20th project. And I just think he is so cute. Well, did you enjoy that? I loved it. I really did have a lot of fun. I'm starving now. I haven't had any food, so I'm going to go and eat. I think it's time. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to subscribe, and it would be great if you could give me a thumbs up too. We're already halfway through Christmas in July. We've only got another 2 videos to go. But I will see you all next time, and until then, don't forget, and I have to put down my little man for this, because I always say, stand straight, man, stand to attention. Happy crafting and have fun. Bye.